Hey guys, welcome to the review show. My name's Austin. The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rome is been out for a week in theaters. It's the next Lord of the Rings big thing, I guess. You guys don't know. I've been sick for the past week, so I couldn't talk about this movie, but now I'm going to. And a sudden attack by wolf, a ruthless lord forced Hammerhand and his people to make a daring last stand in the ancient stronghold of the Hornburg. Make this very clear. I'm not a big fan of the Lord of the Rings movies. I find them to be okay. That's probably going to piss off a lot of people right away. Oh, dare he have his own opinion? It's like, sorry. Ugh. So yeah, but going into this, I was kind of intrigued by it because it's something new, something slightly different. And next when I watched it, it's actually nothing new. So, and before you guys start, saying some slur stuff in the comics for me saying like there's nothing new in this, hear me out. Just hear me out. There's things about this movie I liked. All right, I did like the animation about this for this movie. Thought it was great, and a lot of the cinematography when it came to the fighting in this movie was great. It was awesome. I really had a fun time when any form of action happened. The problem is I simply didn't really care. So you have Hera as our main lead, who is this girl who is very adventurous and who wants to kind of eventually fight for her own kingdom. And doesn't that sound familiar? That sounds like everyone. I forget the character how to say the character's name, but there's this female warrior in Lord of the Rings, and in the third movie where you have this girl who is forbidden to fight any form of battles because girls are not allowed. And this is just how the movie is. In the movie, girls weren't allowed to fight men's battles. They weren't allowed to go out there and fight war. So that's why when her helmet gets taken off in the third final act of the movie, it's the orcs are like surprised, like a girl fighting, and it's like that's why they're surprised because they don't expect a girl to ever fight. It's not something known at all. And this movie kind of goes against that. You have like a girl eventually fighting a war for her people, for her kingdom. Now the movie definitely does address like her name was never ever sang in the songs for this battle. And it's like, but why? She won it for her people. Why would they never? It's just such a forced way. So then it can work with their narrative with the Lord of the Ring movies because this takes place like I believe 200 years before Lord of the Rings. So it takes place before those movies and before the books. So then it works with their narrative. Like, well, see, technically, no one has heard of a woman ever fighting any form of battles because it was, even though she did, they never sang her name ever in the song names or is ever mentioned at all in the movies or anything like that, even though she has a very tied plot line with how Gandalf finds out about these rings. Yeah, so the rings from the Lord of the Ring movies does get mentioned for like 5 seconds, and it some reason becomes a cliffhanger plot point for the whole entire movie. So there's that. But she's very tied to Gandalf apparently. And you're telling me that this character was never ever brought up ever. I just don't buy it. I don't. It just seems like, well, we want our main lead to be a female, but it doesn't really work with this universe. So we got to write around this bullshit that what her name was never ever sang in these songs from this battle. So that's our way to write ourselves out of it. But it's just the same. But it's just the same plot point that the older films brought up. So I just find it to be stupid. Another thing with Hera's characters, she just simply is just she just sucks. She's and I don't mean she's like a terrible person or anything that way, but she's always been hyped to be like this badass like fighter and all that. But she's constantly getting kidnapped. She's constantly losing fights, and she doesn't even win her own fight against Wolf, which apparently she also knew as a young kid, but we never ever really see that. And it's like we're just supposed to simply care about these two's conflict between one another, even though we don't. I don't really simply care about their conflict between one. I simply didn't care, and especially when our main lead is, we're always being told that she's a badass, but we never see her being a badass and she doesn't really go form of goes any form of through a form of character arc. Like if she if she had this ego, it's like, oh, I'm the greatest, but really she isn't. And as she comes with the realization that she isn't this badass warrior that she thinks she is, and she trains herself to become that badass warrior to win this war for her people, then yes, there's something there. But the movie doesn't do that. There, like, you have this opening sequence with Wolf and her kingdom, and everything goes wrong. Wolf wins that battle, and Wolf is now starving her people while her people are in this like hideout area. Basically, that's what I'm going to call it. And her people are starving, and so a lot of this movie is just watching these characters sit around do nothing, and the final 20 minutes is where like the actual battle stuff actually happens. It's a very slow, dragged out film with a very thin storyline that doesn't really go anywhere. I'm going to give The Lord of the Rings, The War of Rohirrim, a C minus. There's things about this movie that work, and there's things about this movie that just simply doesn't work. And the whole story, the reason why Wolf it wants to kill Hera's family and Hera herself, it's just so stupid and like very boring and generic and childish. I'm just like, this is not interesting at all. But some of the action does fix some of the, well, not really fix it, but like saves portions of the movie. But there's a big chunk of this movie where literally nothing happens, where nothing goes on, and it's just stuff being said to you as to the audience. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Thank you much for watching. Like always, I'll see you guys in the next review. Bye guys.